What if everything you trusted about money was a lie? Across history, a handful of economic frauds didn't just steal millions or even billions. They destroyed lives, collapsed institutions, and shook entire nations. In this 5-part documentary series, we expose the 5 most shocking economic frauds of the century, how they were built, how they fooled the world, and how they finally collapsed. These are stories of power, greed, deception, and the warning signs most people ignored. Each episode dives deep into one fraud, uncovering the psychology, the manipulation, and the devastating consequences that followed. If you're new here, this is your regular reminder. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with others who want to understand how these financial disasters really happened. Most importantly, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode when it drops. Because the next fraud in this series might be closer to your life than you think. Let's begin. The Bernie Madoff Ponzi Scheme, USA. For decades, some of the world's wealthiest individuals, banks, charities, and pension funds believed their money was safer than safe. Steady returns, no volatility, no risk. What they didn't know was that it was all an illusion. This is the story of Bernard L. Madoff, the architect of the largest Ponzi scheme in history, a fraud that wiped out approximately $65 billion and shattered trust in the global financial system. The man everyone trusted. Bernie Madoff wasn't some shadowy outsider. He was Wall Street royalty, a respected financier, a trusted advisor, a former chairman of NASDAQ, a man regulators listened to, a man investors believed was untouchable. His firm, Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, operated openly in New York for decades. To many, Madoff was the system, and that's exactly why no one questioned him. The promise of impossible returns. Madoff's pitch was simple and irresistible. He claimed to use a sophisticated trading strategy known as split strike conversion, designed to generate consistent, low-risk returns, regardless of market conditions. While other investors rode the highs and lows of the market, Madoff's clients saw steady gains. Month after month, year after year, no big spikes, no crashes. To investors, it looked like genius. To skeptics, it looked impossible. But skepticism rarely survives when money keeps coming in. A scheme built on reputation. This was not a scam marketed to everyone. In fact, Madoff often refused investors. Being accepted into his fund felt like joining an elite club. That exclusivity created desire and silence. Charities, universities, hedge funds, banks, and wealthy families entrusted him with their fortunes. Some investors didn't even ask questions. They trusted the people who trusted Madoff. Reputation replaced verification. The red flags. No one acted on the warnings were there. Financial analyst Harry Markopolos repeatedly alerted the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, calling Madoff's returns mathematically impossible. He submitted detailed reports. He explained the mechanics. He begged regulators to investigate. Nothing happened. The SEC conducted superficial examinations, but never a full audit. They trusted Madoff's word. They trusted his status. And that trust became catastrophic. How the Ponzi scheme actually worked behind the scenes, there were no real investments, no trading strategy, no secret algorithm. Madoff used new investor money to pay returns to older investors, the classic Ponzi scheme. Account statements were fabricated, trades were backdated, paper profits replaced reality. As long as new money kept flowing in, the illusion survived. But Ponzi schemes don't collapse because of exposure. They collapse because of cash shortages. The 2008 financial crisis, the beginning of the end. When the global financial crisis hit in 2008, fear spread everywhere. Investors wanted their money back. Billions were suddenly withdrawn. Madoff didn't have it. That's when the illusion finally cracked. Unable to meet redemptions, Bernie Madoff confessed, not to regulators, but to his own sons. The confession that shook the world. In December 2008, Madoff told his sons the truth. It's all a lie, it's one big Ponzi scheme. They immediately reported him to authorities. Within hours, Bernie Madoff was arrested. The news exploded globally. A man trusted by Wall Street, regulators, banks, and charities had deceived them all for decades. The devastation left behind. The damage was staggering. An estimated $65 billion vanished. Charities collapsed overnight. Universities lost endowments. Pension funds were wiped out. Families lost their life savings. Some victims lost everything in retirement. Others lost the funding that supported hospitals, research, and social programs. The emotional toll was just as severe. Lives were ruined. Trust was destroyed. This wasn't just financial fraud. It was a public betrayal on a massive scale. Trial, sentence, and legacy. In 2009, Bernie Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felony charges. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, the maximum possible. His name became synonymous with fraud. Madoff died in prison in 2021, but the consequences of his actions still echo today. Wonder why this fraud still matters. The Madoff scandal wasn't just about one man. It exposed deep flaws in the financial system. Over-reliance on reputation, regulatory complacency, blind trust in authority, failure to question consistent, too-good-to-be-true returns. It proved that the biggest frauds don't look dangerous. They look safe. They look familiar. They look respectable. Closing reflection. The Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme stands as the most shocking economic fraud of the century, not because of its size alone, but because of who enabled it. Banks, regulators, institutions, and a system that chose trust over verification. And as history shows us, when trust replaces accountability, fraud doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable. What you've just watched wasn't just a story about money, it was a story about trust, power, and what happens when deception goes unchecked. And this was only one chapter in our 5-part documentary series on the most shocking economic frauds of the century. If this episode made you think, question, or see the financial world differently, subscribe to the channel and share this video with others. It helps more people understand how these frauds happen and how they can be avoided. The next episode in this series will expose another case, another scheme that fooled millions and left devastating consequences behind. So make sure you turn on notifications and watch out for the next video in the series, because the next fraud we uncover may be even more shocking than this one. See you in the next episode.